Have you ever wondered how you can reduce waste and improve your garden at the same time? Well, the answer lies in the magic of composting. Composting is an eco-friendly practice that transforms your kitchen scraps and yard waste into a nutrient-rich soil conditioner known as compost. This magical process happens through the decomposition of organic matter, carried out by millions of microorganisms, worms and insects. It's nature's way of recycling, and it's something we can all do at home. Composting not only gives a second life to your waste, but it also enriches your garden soil, promoting healthier plant growth. But the benefits of composting don't stop at your garden's edge. By composting, you're also contributing to a healthier planet. You see, when organic waste goes to the landfill, it decomposes anaerobically or without oxygen, leading to the production of methane, a potent greenhouse gas. Composting, on the other hand, is an aerobic process, meaning it occurs in the presence of oxygen and results in carbon dioxide, a far less potent gas. In addition, composting helps to reduce the amount of waste going to landfills, which are rapidly filling up. In fact, did you know that about a third of what we throw away could be composted instead? That's a significant reduction in landfill waste. And let's not forget about the economic benefits. Composting can save you money on garden fertilizers and soil conditioners, as you'll be producing your own. Plus, it's a great way to make use of kitchen scraps and yard waste that would otherwise go to waste. So, you see, composting is a win-win for you, your garden and the environment. It's a simple act with profound implications. It's about being mindful of our waste, understanding the natural cycles of decay and regeneration, and playing an active role in reducing our ecological footprint. So let's delve into the step-by-step process of composting. By the end of this, you'll be equipped with all the knowledge you need to start your own compost pile and contribute to a healthier planet. Are you ready to unlock the magic of composting? To begin composting, you first need to gather your organic waste materials. Now, these aren't just any materials. You'll want to focus on organic waste, which is essentially anything that was once alive. This includes kitchen scraps like apple cores, banana peels, coffee grounds and eggshells. Even the trimmings from your vegetables are perfect for composting. But don't forget about yard waste. Grass clippings, leaves, small branches and other plant-based materials are also excellent for composting. These materials, often referred to as browns and greens, play a crucial role in the composting process. The greens provide nitrogen and include materials like fruit and vegetable scraps, coffee grounds and fresh grass clippings. On the other hand, the browns supply carbon and include materials like dry leaves, straw, shredded newspaper and small branches. A well-balanced compost pile should have a mix of these browns and greens. The ideal ratio is about 2 parts browns to 1 part greens. This balance ensures that your compost pile has the right amount of moisture and encourages beneficial microorganisms to break down the materials into compost. Remember, not all waste materials are suitable for composting. Avoid adding meat or dairy products, diseased plants or pet waste to your compost pile. These materials can attract pests and create unpleasant odors. Collecting these materials might seem like a chore, but it's an easy way to reduce waste and give back to the earth. You can keep a small container in your kitchen for daily scraps and a larger bin outside for yard waste. When gathering your materials, it's also a good idea to cut or shred larger pieces into smaller ones. This increases the surface area available for decomposition, speeding up the composting process. Once you've gathered your materials, it's time to start building your compost pile. So, roll up your sleeves, because in the next scene, we'll dive into the art of layering your compost for optimal decomposition. The next step in composting is layering your materials. This process is not merely about stacking kitchen scraps and yard waste in a bin. It's a careful and deliberate action where we create a harmonious environment for microorganisms to thrive and kickstart the decomposition process. Picture your compost bin as a lasagna. You're going to layer it with alternating green and brown waste, each playing a crucial role in the composting process. Green materials, such as fruit and vegetable scraps, coffee grounds, or fresh grass clippings, are high in nitrogen and provide the necessary proteins for the microorganisms to grow and reproduce. On the other hand, brown materials like dried leaves, straw, or shredded newspaper are rich in carbon, providing energy for these microorganisms. Think of it as a balanced diet for the bacteria and fungi that will be doing the heavy lifting in breaking down your compost pile. Now, let's get layering. Start with a layer of brown material at the bottom of your compost bin. This base layer aids in aeration and drainage. Then add a layer of green material. Keep alternating between these two layers, aiming for a ratio of about 2 parts brown to 1 part green. This ratio ensures a good balance between nitrogen and carbon, promoting efficient decomposition. Don't worry about being precise. Composting is as much an art as it is a science. Adjustments can be made along the way. If your compost pile is too damp and smells, add more brown materials. If it's too dry and decomposition is slow, add more green materials. Remember, the smaller the materials, the faster they decompose. So, chop or shred your waste materials before adding them to the compost pile. This increases surface area, making it easier for microorganisms to do their job. Proper layering sets the foundation for a healthy compost pile. It's like setting the stage for the microorganisms to perform their decomposition dance. So, take your time, layer carefully, and watch as your waste materials transform into a gardener's gold, rich, nutrient-filled compost. Aerating your compost pile is a crucial step in the composting process. You see, composting isn't just about piling up organic waste and waiting for it to decompose. There's a bit of science involved. One of the key elements needed for composting is oxygen. Oxygen promotes the growth of aerobic bacteria, which are the little guys responsible for breaking down your compost pile. So how do we introduce oxygen into the pile? By turning or mixing it regularly. You can use a pitchfork, a shovel, or a specialized compost aerator tool. The idea is to get air into the center of the pile where it's needed most. This simple act of turning your compost pile not only introduces oxygen, but also helps distribute moisture and heat evenly, both of which are essential for effective decomposition. Aim to aerate your pile every 1 to 2 weeks. Regular aeration ensures your compost pile stays healthy and active. It's a small task that makes a big difference in your composting journey. Keeping your compost pile at the right moisture level is key. Just like a Goldilocks scenario, you don't want it too dry or too wet, but just right. Think about the feel of a wrung-out sponge. That's the level of moisture you're aiming for. If your pile feels too dry, it's time to add some water. You can use a watering can, a hose, or even wait for a good rain shower. Remember, moisture is essential for the decomposition process. On the flip side, if your compost pile is too soggy, it means you need more brown materials. Dry leaves, shredded paper or straw can do the trick. Adding these materials not only helps absorb excess moisture, but also balances the carbon to nitrogen ratio, which is a vital part of the composting process. Proper moisture levels help to speed up the composting process. So keep an eye on your compost pile and adjust as needed to maintain that perfect moisture balance. Composting is a waiting game, but the results are worth it. The secret to successful composting lies not just in gathering the right materials or maintaining the perfect moisture levels. It's also about embracing the virtue of patience. Composting is a natural process, and like all things natural, it takes its own sweet time. This might get you thinking, how long does composting take? Well, the answer isn't a simple one. There isn't a fixed timeline that applies to all compost piles. The duration can vary based on a multitude of factors. These can include the size of your compost pile, the ambient temperature, the moisture levels, and even the types of materials you've added to your compost pile. Typically, composting can take anywhere from a couple of months to a year to fully complete. But don't let this deter you. Every time you toss in those kitchen scraps or yard waste into your compost pile, remember that you're not just creating nutrient-rich soil for your garden, but also contributing to a healthier planet by reducing waste. So, how do you know when your compost is ready? Well, there are a few telltale signs to look out for. Finished compost usually takes on a dark, crumbly appearance and has an earthy smell, similar to the scent of a forest floor. It shouldn't have any recognizable bits of food or yard waste. If it does, that's a sign that it needs more time to decompose. Monitoring the progress of your compost pile is key. Regular checks will help you catch any issues early on, like unwanted pests or an imbalance in moisture levels. Stirring the pile occasionally can also speed up the process by introducing more oxygen, which aids decomposition. Remember, the art of composting is a journey, not a destination. It's about creating a sustainable cycle of growth and renewal that benefits both your garden and the environment. With patience and regular monitoring, you'll end up with rich, nutrient-filled compost for your garden. So hang in there, because the fruits, or in this case the compost of your labour, are worth the wait. The final step in composting is harvesting your finished compost. Now, this may leave you wondering, what does finished compost even look like, and how do I know it's ready? Well, the answer lies in its texture and aroma. When your compost is ready to use, it will be dark and crumbly, resembling rich, fertile garden soil. And the smell? It will have a pleasant, earthy aroma, not unlike a forest floor after a gentle rain. Harvesting your compost is a fairly straightforward process. If you're using a compost bin or tumbler, there's often a door or opening at the bottom where you can easily access the finished compost. If you're composting in a pile or heap, the mature compost will be at the bottom, as composting is a top-down process. To harvest, simply scoop or shovel out the finished compost. You might find it helpful to use a sieve or screen to separate any larger, uncomposted materials, which can be returned to your compost pile for further decomposition. So you've harvested your compost. Now what? This nutrient-rich organic matter is a gift to your garden. It can be used in a variety of ways to improve soil health and boost plant growth. You can mix it into garden soil or potting mix to improve soil structure and fertility. It also works great as a mulch to help retain soil moisture and suppress weeds. For potted plants, a thin layer of compost on top of the soil can give them a nutritional boost. Remember, compost is not a replacement for soil, but a supplement that enriches it. So don't go replacing all your soil with compost, but rather think of it as the secret sauce that enhances your garden's productivity. Congratulations, you've now mastered the art of composting. Your garden will thank you.